toothless Blake alleges that other actresses and even crew members on the set of It Ends With Us were also victims of Justin Baldoni's abuse and inappropriate behavior.
Everything about Blake Lively's body language shows us that she is in a spiral.
It was my professional opinion that what we were watching was something that was concocted entirely by Ryan Reynolds, because I just see his entire personality type.
Blake Lively just got caught in 4K faking receipts, and the desperation is real. She really thought she could gaslight the internet, but her latest attempt to provide proof is pure manipulation on expert mode. And if you thought that was wild, hold on, because now Blake is coming for Justin Baldoni's phone records as if she's the FBI. In reality, she's just realizing that the so-called overwhelming evidence against Justin was all in her head. Now that it's time to provide actual proof, why is she scrambling? Oh, and you already know we're not skipping the shady stunt Blake and Ryan Reynolds pulled at the SNL 50th anniversary. At this point, they might actually be Hollywood's most unhinged couple. There's so much to unpack here, so grab your popcorn and let's get into it. Blake Lively is officially throwing everything at the wall, hoping something sticks.
I think we're looking into everything. Let me ask you, what are the dates of these HR complaints? Do you know the dates?
There's no dates. The dates are redacted. The names of the complainants are redacted.
Right. Well, it sounds like we're playing Wheel of Fortune with the letters. I might buy a vowel to try to find out what month that.
And by everything, I mean fan fiction level nonsense that even TMZ took one look at and chose to ignore. When the biggest gossip sites won't touch your tea, you know it's burnt. With just hours left before submitting her amended lawsuit, Blake seems to have switched tactics, from filing legal documents to recruiting TikTok conspiracy theorists. And the way she's leaking these so-called HR complaints through random creators instead of, I don't know, the actual court system? This whole situation is a circus, and Blake is the clown. She was already late to amend the lawsuit, and the judge almost didn't allow it, but Baldoni's team didn't object. So we all waited, thinking Blake would drop a bombshell. Instead, she came through with pure nonsense. What we're looking at now feels less like a legal case and more like a viral Reddit thread. One of the wildest accusations floating around on pro-Blake anonymous TikTok accounts is that Justin Baldoni allegedly touched another actress inappropriately on set. And when she complained, he supposedly said, "Oh, better go to HR." Seriously? This sounds like something a 14-year-old would write in a Wattpad revenge story. If something like this actually happened, Blake would have included it in her initial lawsuit, probably as the headline.
So every time I try to stop discussing this case, Miss Lively has yet another trick up her sleeve. So what's going on right now? So Miss Lively has just subpoenaed 14 unique individuals in this ongoing lawsuit.
But instead, she's waiting until the last minute and leaking it through influencers whose biggest claim to fame is a viral dance challenge. It's giving desperation. Let's use common sense for a second. If Justin Baldoni had done something that serious, why is Blake relying on social media instead of, legal professionals? This isn't an episode of Gossip Girl, Mama. You're not Serena van der Woodsen. You're a grown woman trying to manipulate public opinion because your lawsuit is flopping, and the internet sees right through it. The comments are full of people pointing out that if this were real, she would have put it in the official court documents. Blake tried to weaponize the media by pushing a damning article in the New York Times about Baldoni, and it worked for a minute, until Justin started dropping receipts. So now, she's resorting to pushing baseless narratives again, hoping to sway public opinion. But all we have are blurry, unverified screenshots of a leaked HR memo. What's next? A leaked voicemail where Baldoni confesses in crisp 4K audio? At this point, I wouldn't be surprised if the next piece of evidence is a badly photoshopped fake text thread from Blake's camp. If she had a real case, she'd be making her arguments in court, not through sketchy TikTok accounts.
Think, when you saw, Ryan, make light of the situation, I guess, try to find some humor in all this.
I'm unaware of anybody, frankly, whose wife has been really harassed and has made jokes about that type of situation.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can't think of anyone who's done anything like that.
The fact that she's resorting to this level of absurdity says everything we need to know. And I don't know about y'all, but I'll be sitting back, waiting for the next ridiculous chapter in this drama because clearly the circus is still in town. But there's more. This so-called leaked HR memo claims that Justin Baldoni mocked Blake for dealing with hormones. Come on now. Justin Baldoni, who has spent years curating a pro-feminist nice guy persona, publicly mocking Blake Lively for her hormones? The irony would be thick, but let's be real, this isn't even remotely believable. And even in the rare chance that he did say something out of line, who seriously thinks he'd do it in public? It gets wilder. The memo also alleges that Baldoni was in Blake's car, discussing his disturbing personal habits and past encounters, where consent was not given, but he went ahead anyway. It even states that there's an actual video of this incident. Naturally, people are asking to see the footage, but surprise, surprise, no such video exists. Because if it did, it would have been everywhere by now.
An improv, or was it scripted, his little piece he did?
That was actually, he had a different line in rehearsal and he pitched that to replace it. So that was his idea to do it. We wouldn't want to do anything too controversial unless they were in on it. So yeah, that was his line. That was his idea.
Then there's the claim that Baldoni demanded Blake be fully nude in a birthing scene, except he already provided receipts proving that she wore a prosthetic and clothing. And let's not forget the infamous blanket incident, where Blake supposedly felt exposed on set, asked for a blanket, and was ignored. Speaking of inconsistencies, let's talk about Isabella Ferreira, who's been dragged into this mess. Blake is trying to get anyone from set to back her claims, but they don't want to play along. The latest bizarre claim is that Isabella had a traumatizing experience where Baldoni allegedly got in her space and breathed so close to her that her makeup evaporated off her face. This literally sounds like something Blake would say because... dragon behavior? Seriously? Also, wasn't Isabella the same actress who publicly thanked Baldoni for a positive experience on set? Someone needs to explain how we went from gratitude to horror stories real quick. And let's not forget the biggest gag of all. Variety already checked in with Sony back in August to verify if there were any HR complaints against Baldoni, as Blake had claimed. Sony went on record saying there were 0 complaints. And if they were lying, don't you think SAG-AFTRA, the actual actors' union, would have taken action? Even in the supposed article referencing these complaints, the dates are mysteriously redacted. If the allegations are so solid, why hide details? And let's be real, just because someone files an HR complaint doesn't mean it's true. If any of this nonsense makes it into Blake's amended lawsuit, there's 0 chance Baldoni will settle. Maybe at some point, his team considered settling just to move on. But after all this, if this becomes a court case, we're in for a long ride. And believe it or not, this isn't even the full story. While we're still catching our breath from the lawsuit drama, Blake just cranked it up a notch. Now, she's demanding Justin Baldoni's phone records.